and welcome to your Katie Bell Physiotherapy and Wellness Stretch session. This session is going to design to release and open up some of the joints and the muscles around the lower back and up through the spine. You don't need any equipment today other than maybe a cushion or a head block. If you do prefer at any point to place a pillow in or a cushion in underneath your knees or any other area, feel free to have that ready now. Okay, so we're going to come first of all into a hands and knees position. If you have any problems with your wrists, shoulders or neck, you may prefer to lean forwards onto a sofa or onto a coffee table or your bed, resting onto your elbows just to take your weight off of that area a little bit. But if not, we're going to talk it through here from this hands and knee position. Now I want you first of all just to set those hands nice and wide out just past your shoulders, slightly above, and then knees underneath hips. This should feel in a steady position from which you can move. And we're going to start with some stretch into the lower back. So I want you to imagine the joints of your spine, starting here from your tailbone and moving one joint at a time all the way up into your upper back. And we're going to start by doing a seesawing action. So we're going to seesaw our pelvis forwards and then seesaw our pelvis backwards. So forwards and backwards. And just start from the pelvis. Imagine you've got a marble resting on your lower back and you roll it down your spine and up your spine as you tilt the pelvis. Now see, without forcing your spine, just see if you can gently lift a little bit further up into your back, creating a bigger and bigger curve of your spine. So we're not dipping any further down. So I'm not going here and then collapsing and really arching my back. I'm coming up and rounding further and further up. So I start on my lower back, I creep up into my mid back and my ribs. Then the next one I creep into my shoulder blades. And then on the last one coming all the way here up into the base of the neck. I'm going to stay here now, pushing my knees into the floor, pushing my hands into the floor. Then I'm going to rock forwards and backwards. Now for each of us we're going to notice different stretches as we do this. So notice as you go forwards and backwards, where do you feel the stretch? So for me, I can feel a little bit more stretch here as I go backwards. So we're going to do two more, just rocking forward to back, stretching out the back. And then you're going to stop at the point where you feel the stretch. So for me, I feel it about here. So I'm going to stay here, pushing my knees into the floor, pushing my hands into the floor, just leaving my head to relax and taking a nice big deep breath in and out. Really creating that space in the spine. Moving very consciously, listening to my body. On my next out breath, I'm just going to rock forwards and let my spine just melt back into that long spine position. Okay, we're going to take a movement starting from the upper back, so into the shoulders, upper back, almost to the neck, and we're going to move gradually down. So we're going to start by thread the needle. I'm going to float my arm that's furthest away from you across to the side of the room, taking a nice big breath in. I'm now going to rotate my body, reaching my arm through. Taking a breath in, breathing out, I'm going to sweep that hand out and I'm going to rotate up towards the sky. So we're just going to start this gentle movement that you might have done in some of your classes before, mobilising the back and then all the way up. Now on the next one, now we've got going a little bit, we know where we're going. I'm going to take my hand all the way down, I'm going to rest into my elbow or my shoulder, but not my head and neck. The weight is all here into my upper body. Now as I do this, imagine you're going to squash this arm into the floor, gently rotating your back. But as I do this, I'm not letting my hips drop out to the side. I keep them stacked over the hips here. Over your knees here, keeping a nice stacked position, really isolating this stretch into the upper back. Okay, when you're ready, let's release. And we'll swap to the other side. So left hand, so my hand that's closest towards you now, we're going to start by just dipping through and opening up. And again, I'm going to dip through and open up. Okay, last one here, I'm going to go all the way through now. I land over into the elbow or the shoulder, maybe putting a pillow or a cushion in there if you need it. Again, I'm checking that my hips haven't dropped to the side, they're stacking over, and I'm squashing that arm into the floor. stomach rotation and twist through the upper back. When you're ready, we're going to just gently release, bringing the hands back in front of the body. Okay, I'm going to slide my hands out now in towards what we call a puppy stretch. So my fingertips go long, my chest comes down low. Any problems at the shoulders or into the neck, maybe take the elbows wide so you can rest into the forearms. But if not long, like you're diving into a swimming pool. 2 more breath cycles here. Now on your second breath cycle, as you breathe out, I want you to gently engage with your core and let yourself just melt backwards into a shell stretch or a child's pose, interlacing those fingers and just gently reaching up, taking a nice big stretch out through the front of the chest. Let's release those hands. Now, imagine you've lost something underneath your sofa. I'm going to go back into that puppy stretch. So you're going to slide those fingertips underneath the sofa, hips go up nice and high, and we're lifting up through that tailbone, pushing the knees into the floor so you feel the glutes engage. That's going to give you your foundation on which to stretch and mobilise that spine. Nice big stretch. Go on, dive into that swimming pool with those fingertips. 1 more breath cycle. On your next out breath, engage with that core, melt backwards, and bring those hands together, gently lifting up. Now if you don't like that, you might prefer to have your hands onto your hips or your lower back and press open. If you don't like this forwards fold position, just peel up into sitting and press and lift open through the chest. Okay, 1 more breath here. Okay, this time we're going to come and slide forwards, but instead of leaving the hips up, we're going to peel down, and I'm going to press my elbows underneath my shoulders. So I'm lifting up. Now, as I do this, I'm not collapsing into my lower back. I know there's a curve in my back, but I'm not letting go here. I'm lifting. So I've got my glutes just gently tucking my tailbone under and lifting nice and high. Now, if you can, take a little gentle wiggle left and right. You're shaking your hips out, shaking the tension there. I want you to lift forward through the chest. If you don't like that little wiggle, leave it alone. Some people find it really, really relieving. Okay, 2 more breath cycles here. And when you finish that last breath cycle, just relax yourself down for a moment, turning your head towards me. So we just have a little moment's rest there. So we're stretching a little bit out through the tummy, taking the spine into that extension. If you don't like this, it's too much for your back, I want you just to come here and imagine, rather than you're lifting up, I want you to imagine that someone's lifting you long. So imagine someone's got hold of my bum, my ponytail, and they're drawing me forward, like they're trying to pluck me off the mat. And at the same time, my hips are so heavy, I'm being weighed down to the mat, so I get this length. Like I'm long for the spine. So we've got that version there, or you can come for a lift forward through the heart, like someone's got hold of my heart and they're literally lifting it up towards the sky. I'm not creasing at any point, so I'm not folding anywhere in my spine. It's one full curve of that spine. Okay, 1 more breath cycle here. Stay lifted, whichever version you're doing, long through the spine. And as you breathe out, release down, catch the hands underneath the shoulders, and then when you're ready, push yourself back to your hands and knees position. We're going to take a bit of a stretch out around the hips and the glutes, which is going to help release the lower back. So I'm going to step my right foot forwards here. Now, if you don't like this very folded position, if you've got any issues with hips, you might prefer to be up here. You could even lean onto a chair or a wall here to inside, by the side of you, just to give you that support. So lean onto a coffee table or hand on a wall. Okay, I'm going to stay down here. And what I'm going to do, wherever you've got yourself positioned with your upper body, wherever your hands are, so whether that's on a chair in front of you or down on the floor here, I'm just going to start by just having a little explore, trying to find a bit of a stretch here around the hips. And then from here, I'm going to start rocking backwards and forwards. So my hands, my feet, my foot at the front here, my foot at the back, and my knee at the back, they don't go anywhere. So they're not lifting off the mat, they're not wriggling around, folding and forwards. Now as I go forwards, I imagine I'm lifting out through the crown of the head. Even if I'm here, I'm lifting out through the crown of the head. When I go back, it's like I bow over. If this feels too much, just nudge in and out here. If it is way too intense here and you're really struggling, you feel like we've talked before about our traffic light system, if we feel like we're in a red zone or really pushing up into amber, come here, hold on to something, rock forwards and backwards here. We're looking to explore our movement rather than force it into something that it is telling us that we're not happy with. Okay, on your next one, whether you're here, hands up onto your knee or onto a chair or down to the floor, we're going to stay in that position. We are going to let the toes come just off the floor, and then what I want you to do is just to roll that knee left and right. Again, if you have sciatica, if you feel this is too intense, I want you nice and upright, holding on to something this is steady, and just rolling the foot in and out here. Yeah, we're not forcing. You should feel, as I'm doing this here, I can feel somewhat of a stretch, but it's not burning. I'm not feeling it's really, really intense. I'm being respectful of my body's current range. Okay, last one here. Now I'm going to rock forwards, either onto the floor or leaning onto the chair in front of me. Whatever I want. If I've got my hands on the floor, I'm going to bring my hands inside of my knee. So if you could see me from the front, that's what you'd be seeing. My leg is now on the outside of my shoulder. So from that position there, I'm going to let my knee fold out to the side and back in. So you can probably see in my reflection in the mirror how my body's staying still and my knee is rolling in and out. If you're holding on to something here, just again, let this knee open and close. A bit like a gate swinging, that little roll in the hip. We're just loosening off those muscles that go out from the hip, round into the spine. Okay, last one. When you're ready, plant the foot, push through your hands, engage through the core and release that leg there. Okay, we're going to take ourselves into some nice mobilizing hip circles. So I'm going to take myself into full circles at the hips. Imagining I'm circling my hips around my knees. Seeing how that feels left versus right. I might even like to pop my hands up onto the chair again or onto the wall. Okay, let's step the other leg through. So I've got my left leg through. You may find on the side you prefer to have your hands down, maybe up, and we're going to rock forwards and backwards. So you're just exploring this, seeing where is your body maybe saying to you no thank you. You might find one side, you can go forwards and backwards, no problem, down, but you have to be up on the other. Doesn't matter. We're just finding where we can find that same intensive stretch. So we're looking for that amber, that early amber. It's not just easy, can't feel anything. I can feel there's a bit of a stretch, but I'm being very respectful of that. Okay, on your next one, whichever version you're in, we're folding back here, letting the toes just lift off, and then I'm rolling the knee left and right. So I feel the hip itself twisting inside the socket. Imagine it kind of scooping round. Okay, last two. The last one. And you can feel the more you do, you feel how it's just easing and easing. You're going a little bit further into it without forcing. Okay, let's rock forward. I've got my hands inside my leg or up onto the chair. And now I'm going to roll in and out of that knee with a flex position. So we're working both into the hamstring and around the hip muscles, alleviating any imbalances or tension, allowing the pelvis to get in a great position and offsetting any additional tension up through the spine. If you're noticing one side is much easier, don't need to push deeper, just, enjoy just feeling the movement. Be mindful of that movement. Feel the hip moving in the socket. Two more. Last one. Now press through the hands, engage the core. Let's release that leg round and take yourself down into your shell stretch. One last time, letting the spine fold over your legs. If you don't like that position there, take yourself to your puppy if that feels better. Nice and long. Not forcing you to a stretch, this is just a little rest, recover, and just sinking into that moment of having opened up your body. When you're ready, release out of your position and come to a rest position. I hope you've enjoyed your stretch session. This is the perfect session to add on to maybe some other exercises or a great way to start or finish your day.